Academy Awards and 16 nominations. Meryl Streep is still at the top of her game. Right now in a new film that's called The Iron Lady, she absolutely transforms herself into former British Prime Minister Margaret Thatcher. Take a look.
We will stand on principle, or we will not stand at all.
But Margaret, with all due respect, when one has been to war...
With all due respect, sir, I have done battle every single day of my life, and many men have underestimated me before. This lot seem bound to do the same, but they will rue the day. Now, shall I be mother? Tea, Al. How do you take your tea? Black or white?
She is simply phenomenal in this film. Please welcome back Meryl Streep. I said this to you backstage, and I will say it again because, as you know, as I've sometimes mentioned, I interviewed Margaret Thatcher many times. I could not tell the difference between you and Margaret Thatcher. I think it is the most amazing performance, Meryl.
Thank you.
So what characteristics? What characteristics? Not everybody remembers Margaret Thatcher, who was the first female and only Prime Minister of Great Britain, and a phenomenal, conservative, terrific woman. So what did you pick on? Where do you begin?
Well, first of all, I'm American. I'm from New Jersey.
Yeah.
It was a little bit presumptuous for me to come in and do this part. I knew that.
But that's such a skill set of yours, right?
But that's sort of where she came from. She came from, you know, when she rose in the political ranks, she rose in the Tory party, which is notoriously hidebound, you know, gender...
Boys' club.
Yes, a boys' club.
Boys' club.
And an Etonian, sort of, there was a sort of way you should be brought up, a class you should come from if you want to be a leader in the Tory party. She was amazing. She just bucked all that. She was one of the first.
Doing it. Yeah.
Well, there were very few. I think there were 17. There were 17 women and 600 out of the 600 members of Parliament.
Wow.
Almost like here.
Mr. Ned, I want to show you a little bit of my interview with Margaret Thatcher so you can see how fantastic this performance was. President Reagan has said, I believe, that it takes you like 2 years to get over when you're not in office. We have read that you...
it's a traumatic shock, it really is. You don't realise it. You're so busy doing things, you don't realise it until you're out. And it comes in strange ways. Even now, when we're driving down Whitehall towards Westminster or to go home, which is not very far away, all of a sudden, my mind still thinks we'll turn right into Downing Street. And then I realise we're not going to.
Yeah, and you do that. You show the rise and the fall.
The movie is a subjective look at her past from the point of view of a very old lady. And in fact, about half the film I spend as someone who's 86 and in failing health. And so this is 3 days in her life where she's, I don't know, people have had a loved one who passes on, but it's very hard to get rid of their stuff. And this is a moment in her life when she's decided to move her husband's things out of the house. It's a very destabilizing moment.
Well, you know, I thought...
and it brings up all the memories of other destabilizing, turbulent, challenging moments in her life.
This was when she lost, and she says, you know, I still remember, but I'm not there anymore, and you show that you know, when they ousted her.
It's a film about the end of power.
Yeah.
And the life at its waning edge. And yet her huge, rich, challenging, very still controversial life is there in her memory.
She created herself, you know, from having people look down on her as the grocer's daughter. who was smarter than everybody else in the room and turned herself into Margaret Thatcher. Her voice, as we say, her voice, as she's trained how to talk, and she created this persona. Why do you think people still have such a hard time with her?
Well, she was a woman, A, and we hold women leaders to, I think, a harsher judgment. Sure. Just right across the board. I don't care who it is. And I'm not sure why that is, but I feel it myself. And
did you ever meet her?
She also was very divisive. No, I didn't meet her. I saw her speak. She came to Northwestern. My daughter was a student at Northwestern, and we went and sat up in the nosebleed seats and watched her speak. And she was going to lecture for 45 minutes, and then she said, a very officious man said, and she'll take questions for precisely 30 minutes. And she spoke for 1.5 hours after. And as the time went on, and this was in 2001, and she was already frail, but she just got stronger and stronger and stronger as the evening went on, and really, really sharp.
You mentioned women as leaders, and you are certainly one, and congratulations are in order, because you just recently were one of the honorees at the Kennedy Center honors, nation's top award for those who have influenced American culture through the arts. I mean, not a surprise. Truly, well deserved. Pretty remarkable.
That was great. I got to sit. I stole the White House napkins.
Oh, you were the one. I didn't blame. She stole them.
Yeah. You go into the bathroom. The bathroom is fantastic. They have all the First Lady's portraits, the very famous ones, and then they have White House, you know, little hand towels with White House stamped in gold. Yes. That was great. It was a big night.
That is a big one.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
You know, you have
Sonny Rollins. Oh my God.
You have won Academy Awards, and I don't say this lightly. This is such a great performance, and I do hope that people, young people too. I mean, it's a marvelous story, and you're just extraordinary.
Thank you.
We're going to come back with the director. She did all the work, of course. You did nothing, right? We know that.
Lay back and
Meryl's going to stick with us, and we'll be right back.
Thank you.
Methinks the right honourable lady doth screech too much. And if she wants us to take her seriously, she must learn to calm down.
If the right honourable gentleman could perhaps attend more closely to what I am saying, rather than how I am saying it, he may receive a valuable education in spite of himself.
Okay, give it to them. So we are back with Meryl Streep, whose new film is called The Iron Lady. It's about Margaret Thatcher, and it was directed by the same woman who captured a very different performance of Meryl in the hit movie musical, Mamma Mia. Please welcome the director, The Iron Lady, Phyllida Lloyd.
So, I have to ask you a question, because you're the director and you worked with her, but, you know, Meryl is such a great actress. I can't imagine any notes that you would give her. Did you give her notes?
I'd had to tell her not to be funny. To stop smiling. I think that was something that we all knew in England, that Margaret Thatcher tended not to smile, except in a very serious way. And sometimes I had to say,
It's hard not to do that.
Don't be so funny.
Don't all the great actresses have humor in their performance, though? The great actors always do.
Yes.
Marlon Brando, Meryl Streep, De Niro.
You know, if you're portraying a human being, we're all a little bit preposterous on a certain level, and we're all, even in our most serious moments, especially at our most serious moments. And I always think there's always something essentially, even in the funniest joke, it comes out of something often very harsh, very serious, tough stuff.
But what did you look for in the voice of that gave it not an imitation, but such a true performance? What did you tell it?
I think one of the things was that Margaret Thatcher never let an interviewer, I'm sure, Barbara, she let you get a word in, but in England, many interviewers could not get in, and she had this breath, this will to just keep talking, And that was one of the, almost more than the intonation or the dialect.
That was
did you
the
think?
biggest challenge, yes. I realized that I had to take breath, not from here, from here, back here. You know, I had to just bring it, just a whole silo full of air in order to keep going through a thought, and just at the moment where the interviewer was going to interrupt me in a moment, one moment, to go on and make my point and finish it through. I mean, it was, she was phenomenal at that. Wow. It was great. It's a great technique.
The first day of rehearsal, Phyllida, because I know, Meryl, you said it was daunting being the first day of rehearsal. Yeah. What was that like?
Well, walking into a room full of men, which is, on the whole, what making movies is my experience is mainly about, and feeling, yeah, you've just got to somehow not, you know, fall off the tightrope. It was daunting for both of us.
It was daunting, but I was one of the first women to go to an all-male college. I was one of 60 women when Dartmouth had 6,000 men. Oh. A lot of them were very excited that we were there on campus, you know, like food. But a lot of them really didn't want us there. It was a really interesting time. It was way back in the Pleistocene era, I believe. It was like 1970-ish. And that's about the time that Margaret Thatcher was, you know, the world was really different. I tell my daughters it was really, really different. Women were teachers, nurses.
Well, we see it in that scene when you come in with Dennis, or you don't come in with him, but you're there, and he's sitting and he's watching you, and all the women get up to leave the room, and you're like, whoa, where are you going? And then you have to leave.
Yeah. That still happens in England.
Yeah. Yes.
Their marriage was a love affair.
Yes, she loved him.
Yeah, that's what I thought the movie was going to be, a political movie about Margaret Thatcher, and I'm watching it, and I said, this is a love story, this movie, with her and her husband.
It is, and because the problem was that in England, she's still such a controversial figure, and there are only really two ways of looking at her. There is the sort of the monster she-devil who ruined the lives of millions.
Because she was so conservative.
Yes. Yeah. Or there is the blessed Saint Margaret, who saved Britain from its post-war decline and put us back on the world map. And there's really been nothing in between those two things. And we just wanted to tell a different story about, you know, it from a woman's point of view, and this story of being a lower-class girl in this party of posh boys.
Is she still alive?
Written by a woman.
She's seen this?
Edited.
Does she know about it?
She does know, and apparently when she was told that there was a film being made about her, she said, another programme, which I think put it in context for me, as if, you know, there's been so much written about her, lampooning of her, satire of her. To her, it was just one more thing. But I'm sure she'll see it, but in her own time.
Well, believe me, it isn't one more thing. We thank you. First of all, did I do it right, Phyllida?
Yes, thank you. Yes.
Phyllida, okay. Whatever the name, we have to thank the director and Meryl Streep. We want to tell you that the movie opens December 30th, right? Okay.
Yes.
And we'll be right back. Thank you, both of you. Thank you.